The stars have always carried secrets. Every world, every empire, every alien race believed they were the first to rise. They believed they were the first to master fire, to build ships, to cross the endless black. But the truth was older, hidden, and more terrifying than they could imagine. Long before the galaxy filled with alien voices, long before councils and empires existed, there had been another, a civilization so ancient that its ruins were now dust. A people who had once stretched their hands across the sky and left marks on 1,000 worlds. They called themselves humans, but no alien today knew this name. For to them, the story of the ancient ones was only a legend, a whisper passed down in broken myths, a tale told by dying stars, warning the young races that greatness always comes with a cost. The legend spoke of a time when the first ones ruled the stars. They built great ships of steel and light, faster and stronger than anything seen since. They guided younger races, teaching some, protecting others, and destroying those who threatened balance. For 1,000 ages, they stood unchallenged, and then they vanished. No one knew how. Some said they destroyed themselves in a great war. Some said they ascended, leaving the galaxy behind. Others believed they were punished by the stars themselves, erased for their pride. In the silence that followed, new empires rose. Aliens claimed the galaxy for themselves. They erased the memory of the first ones, fearing what it meant. But fragments of truth survived, etched on forgotten walls, carved into old stones, burned into the minds of prophets who saw too much. And so, every child of the stars grew up hearing the same warning. Beware the return of the ancient ones, for if they rise again, the galaxy will tremble. Centuries passed. The galaxy grew busy with trade and politics. Wars were fought, treaties signed, alliances broken. Every race believed the legend was only a story, nothing more than a bedtime fear. But there were some, scholars, wanderers, and dreamers, who searched. They studied ruins too old to date. They found strange symbols that no language could explain. They looked to the stars and wondered, who were the first ones, and where did they go? One such world was lost to time, a desert world without a name. It was a place no empire claimed, a place forgotten even by star maps. Yet beneath its burning sands lay something waiting. Deep within caverns older than any alien memory, an echo remained. The cavern walls were carved with strange patterns. Not alien, not natural, but deliberate. Shapes of stars arranged in a spiral, a map stretching across the galaxy. And at the center, a single word was etched into unbreakable stone, Earth. The wind howled outside the cavern, carrying dust into the eternal night. No alien explorer had yet uncovered this place. No scholar had yet dared to guess its meaning. But the word waited, patient, untouched for millions of years. Far across the galaxy, in a council chamber of light and glass, the great races argued, as always. The Drath claimed territory, the Solari demanded trade, the Core whispered of war. None of them knew that under their very feet, under their very stars, the shadow of something older was stirring. For if the first ones had truly vanished, then their story would have ended. But stories never end. They wait, hidden, sleeping. And sometimes, when a galaxy grows proud, the old stories awaken. The myths had said the first ones would return when the galaxy was unprepared. And the galaxy was never more unprepared than now. Empires were fragile, alliances weak, fear and greed ruled every decision. None of them remembered who had come before. None of them believed the whispers could be true. Yet in the dark between the stars, a signal pulsed, faint, steady, ancient. It was not a cry for help, nor a warning. It was a heartbeat, a sign that something long buried was not gone, only waiting. The stars themselves seemed to lean closer. The silence of space was no longer silence. It was listening, it was remembering, and as the first spark lit deep in forgotten ruins, as old machines hummed awake after endless slumber, The galaxy was about to learn a truth that would shatter every myth, every lie, every story they told their children. Humans had been the first, and they had never truly left. The desert world had no name, no empire, no claim. For centuries, ships passed it by, seeing nothing but a dead rock in endless night. But fate has strange ways, and sometimes the forgotten places hide the greatest truths. On a quiet day, when twin suns burned red above its skies, a small exploration craft descended. It belonged not to a great empire, but to a lone wanderer, a young alien named Kale. Kale was no soldier, no scholar, no noble. He was simply curious, the kind of mind that searched ruins while others chased riches. His ship landed with a shudder, sinking slightly into the sand. Dust swept across the hull as he stepped out. The desert stretched for miles, endless waves of heat and silence. Kale adjusted his mask and whispered to himself, "Nothing lives here." But he was wrong. Something did live here, an echo, a memory, a secret too old to die. Kale walked, scanning the horizon, until his eyes caught something impossible. A stone arch rose from the sand, half buried, its carvings glowing faintly in the dying light. He brushed his hands across the symbols. They were not from any language he knew, not Drath, not Solari, not Kor. It felt older, heavier, as though each line carried the weight of history itself. Driven by instinct, he pushed deeper into the ruins. A hidden passage opened under the arch, leading down into shadow. His light pierced the darkness, revealing walls etched with star patterns. Every chamber he entered seemed designed to tell a story, but one he could not understand. And then he found it. At the very heart of the ruin, a chamber of stone and steel lay untouched by time. The air was still, the silence heavy, and in the center, carved into unbreakable metal, was a single word: Earth. Kale froze, staring at the strange letters. He repeated the sound aloud, awkward and alien on his tongue. Art. The walls seemed to hum as the word left his lips. Dust trembled, a faint vibration rippling through the floor. Kale stumbled back, heart racing. It was as if the ruin itself had been waiting for that word. He activated his scanner, recording everything. The device chirped in confusion, unable to read the material, unable to age it. The only thing it confirmed was chilling. The chamber was older than any known empire, older than the council itself. Kale's hands shook as he uploaded the images, sending them through the relay beacon above the planet. He did not know what he had discovered, but across the galaxy, others would soon see, others who understood more than him. In the halls of the Galactic Council, alarms rang as data streamed in. Leaders gathered, voices raised. The Core demanded the discovery be hidden. The Solari insisted it must be studied. The Drath muttered that the word was cursed, that old myths were waking. Earth, the council speaker whispered, the word heavy in the chamber. No one knew what it meant, but every instinct screamed that it mattered. Deep inside, many feared the old stories, the tales of the first ones who ruled before them, the ancient ones who could not be defeated. Outside the chamber, Kale felt the ground shift. A distant rumble shook the cavern walls. His lights flickered as ancient machines stirred, their systems humming after millions of years of silence. Kale staggered, fear filling his chest. "What did I wake up?" he whispered. The walls lit with lines of blue light. Symbols rearranged themselves, forming shapes too complex for him to follow. And then, in the silence, a faint pulse echoed. Not a warning, not a threat, a heartbeat. Kale turned and ran, stumbling back through the ruins. But he could not unsee the truth. He could not erase the word carved into eternity. And as he reached the surface, the twin suns burning above him, he knew his life had changed forever. He had found something older than empires, something that should have remained hidden, something that would shake the galaxy. Far away, in the void between stars, ships older than history stirred. Engines that had not burned in ages flickered with light. Metal groaned as if breathing again. And somewhere, deep in the black, a voice whispered, "We were the first." The signal moved faster than thought. From Kale's discovery, from the word carved in stone, something invisible spread across the stars. It was not light, not sound, not code. It was older, deeper, something woven into the bones of forgotten machines. Across the galaxy, in places long abandoned, things began to stir. On a frozen moon where no empire dared to land, ice cracked as towers of black steel rose. On a dead station drifting in the dark, lights flickered back to life, one by one. And deep within an asteroid belt, ships sealed in caverns of rock opened their eyes. They were not alien ships. Their design was different, sharp, precise, filled with power. Engines hummed with a voice like thunder. And for the first time in millions of years, the galaxy felt the breath of the first ones. Kale did not know what he had awakened. He sat inside his small ship, staring at the sky. His scanner beeped with strange signals, waves his instruments could not explain. "Something is answering," he whispered, hands trembling. Meanwhile, in the council chambers, chaos grew. The images of the word Earth had spread to every leader. The Solari scientists argued it was only a ruin, nothing more. The core demanded Kale's capture, fearing what secrets he might hold. But beneath all the noise, fear tightened its grip. For old myths were returning. The legends of the first ones had always warned of their awakening. The stories said their ships would rise again when the stars aligned. And now it was happening, far beyond council borders, in empty space where no one traveled. A fleet of titanic vessels shifted. They were massive, larger than any known ship. Their hulls carried scars of old battles, yet they gleamed with strength. Engines roared as though answering a call. Inside one of these ships, lights spread through endless corridors. Machines woke, panels glowed, systems checked themselves. At the heart of the vessel, a single chamber pulsed with energy. A voice, cold yet human, whispered through the ship. Systems restored. Mission incomplete, awaiting directive. The ship had been silent for ages, but now its purpose returned. Its crew were gone, long turned to dust. Yet the ship itself remembered. It remembered the name human. It remembered Earth. And it remembered that its work was not finished. The galaxy shuddered as the fleet powered up. Waves of energy rippled across the void. Stations thousands of light years away caught glimpses of impossible readings. Some dismissed it as error, others as myth. But those who believed trembled. Kale's beacon was traced, and hunters came. The Corps sent fast ships to silence him before the story could spread further. But as they descended on the desert world, the ground shook. The ruins lit like fire, and a low hum filled the air. Kale watched in awe as a massive shadow lifted from beneath the sand. An ancient vessel, black and silver, rising slowly into the sky. Its engines burned with blue fire, yet no heat touched him. The alien hunters froze, their ships circling. None dared to fire, none dared to move. The vessel turned, its colossal frame blocking the suns. Symbols lit across its hull. Words Kale could not read. But one word shone brighter than all. Earth. The hunters fled, their courage shattered. Kale stood beneath the ship, heart pounding. He whispered, "You're real." The ship did not answer. It only rose higher, breaking through the clouds. Then it vanished into the black, silent, steady, unstoppable. In that moment, the awakening was no longer a secret. The galaxy had felt it. Every empire, every race, every world. The first ones had returned, not as myths, not as stories, but as truth. And somewhere, in the cold void where the ancient fleet gathered, the whisper spread from ship to ship. It was not spoken in alien tongues, but in the old voice of humanity. A voice the galaxy had forgotten, yet one that carried weight. We were the first. The galaxy was restless. Every empire, every council, every leader had heard the whispers. The first ones had returned. The old myths were alive, and fear spread like fire. The council chamber overflowed with arguments. The Solari demanded diplomacy. The core screamed for war. The Drath watched in silence, their cold eyes betraying nothing. Every race feared what the humans might want. Would they come as rulers or as destroyers? Across the stars, the answer was already moving. The ancient human fleet spread like a storm. One by one, their ships emerged from forgotten hiding places. Some rose from beneath planets, some from hollow moons, others from the void itself. They moved with purpose, steady, silent, unchallenged. The first official sighting came near the border of Solari space. A trading convoy drifted between systems when shadows blocked the stars. The traders froze as colossal vessels emerged. Their designs were alien yet familiar, sharp lines and glowing engines that hummed with unnatural power. The convoy hailed them, their voices trembling. "Identify yourselves." For a long moment, there was no reply. Then, through every channel, across every frequency, came a single voice. It was not mechanical, nor alien. It was human. "We were the first, and we have returned." The words struck like thunder. The convoy scattered in panic, rushing to spread the message. The council received the recordings within hours. Silence filled the chamber as the voice echoed again and again. Some bowed their heads in awe. Others clenched their fists in rage. But none could deny the truth anymore. Humans were real, and they were here. Soon, more encounters followed. A patrol of core warships tried to shadow a single human vessel. They scanned it, circled it, tested its defenses. But when they dared to lock weapons, the human ship responded, not with destruction, not with fire, but with a blinding wave of energy that disabled every core engine, leaving them adrift. The human ship then vanished into the void, as if mocking them. Fear turned to debate. Were the humans peaceful? Were they playing with their prey? Some believed they had returned to guide. Others believed they had come to conquer. Every day, sightings grew. Every day, the galaxy felt smaller under their presence. And then came the day of the council meeting. The chamber of glass and light was filled with tension. Leaders argued until their voices cracked. Should they send an ambassador or a fleet? Should they bow or should they resist? The argument ended when the lights flickered. A shadow fell over the chamber as a massive vessel appeared above the council world. Its hull stretched across the sky, so vast it blotted out the suns. Panic erupted in the city below, but the ship did not fire. It hovered, silent, watching, waiting. Inside the chamber, every leader turned pale. Messages poured in from planetary defense fleets. Their weapons were useless, their shields powerless. The human ship was untouchable. And then, the voice came again, this time not through speakers, not through machines. It filled the air itself, echoing inside every mind. We return not as ghosts, not as myths, but as truth. We were the first, and we are here to remember what was lost. The chamber fell silent. No one dared to breathe. The Solari ambassador whispered, "What do you want from us?" For a moment, there was no answer. Then the voice replied, calm yet commanding, "We want what was ours." The stars, the galaxy trembled. Every world, every council, every empire now lived under the shadow of the first ones. The humans had spoken, and their words were clear. They wanted the stars. Fear spread faster than light. Merchants whispered of vanished patrols. Soldiers told stories of weapons shut down with a single human glance. Priests declared the first ones were God's return to judge. Children grew silent at night, staring at the skies, wondering if the old myths were true. On the council world, leaders gathered again. The chamber no longer rang with arguments. It rang with fear. The core slammed their fists and demanded war. The Solari spoke of peace. The Drath said nothing, only watching, calculating. Every race saw a different truth in the return of humanity. Some called them saviors. ancient guardians who had once lifted young species from darkness. If the myths were true, then humans had built the first star maps, the first laws, the first dream of unity. Perhaps they had returned to guide once more, but others called them monsters, destroyers who had burned empires to ash, who had ended wars by ending civilizations. If those legends were true, then the humans had not returned to guide. They had returned to rule. Kale, the wanderer who had discovered the ruin, now lived in hiding. The council wanted him silenced, but whispers of his name spread. Some said he was chosen. Others claimed he was cursed. He carried the memory of that first word, carved in eternal stone, Earth, and for that the galaxy looked to him. Meanwhile, human ships spread further. They did not conquer, they did not enslave, but their presence was enough. One human vessel hovering over a city could empty its streets in silence. One fleet moving past a border was enough to end a war without firing a shot. Every empire now held meetings in secret. Plans were whispered of alliances against humanity, but none dared to strike first. For every attempt to test human power ended the same, with fleets humiliated, weapons useless, and pride shattered. On one distant world, a great empire dared to act. They gathered a fleet of 1,000 ships. They marched to the border where a single human vessel drifted. Their leaders wanted proof that the first ones bled like any other. The battle lasted less than a minute. When it was done, the 1,000 ships were silent wrecks, floating in darkness. The human vessel drifted onward, untouched, as if the attack had never happened. The galaxy trembled harder. Rumors grew wild. Some said the humans were not flesh and blood anymore, but machines with souls. Others swore they were spirits wearing steel bodies. Some even claimed they had never left, that they had been watching from the shadows all along. The fear was no longer just fear. It became worship. On some worlds, temples rose to honor the first ones. Songs were sung, prayers whispered. "Guide us, ancient ones, guide us," they cried. But on other worlds, hatred boiled. Rebels shouted that no race should bow again. They swore they would burn the humans if it was the last thing they did. Their voices were small but growing, for fear breeds not only obedience, but also defiance. The galaxy stood on the edge of something vast. No one knew if the humans would choose to lead or to crush. No one knew if the myths of peace or the myths of war would prove true. In the void, the human fleet moved like a storm, silent, endless, unshaken. And somewhere within the great ships, a voice whispered once more. A voice that carried across stars, across hearts, across fear itself. "We were the first, and we have returned to remind you." The galaxy was holding its breath. Every empire feared humanity, yet none had dared to challenge them directly. The memory of the 1,000-ship fleet destroyed in moments haunted all. But fear can become poison, and poison always find a way to strike. It was the Varen Empire that decided to test the first ones. The Varen were proud and cruel, known for enslaving weaker species. They believed no legend could frighten them. "No ancient ghost will rule us," their emperor declared. "We will show the galaxy that humans bleed like any other." They gathered their strongest fleet. Not thousands of ships, but a single weapon. Their super dreadnought, the Eternal Fong. It was larger than moons, powered by cores stolen from dying stars. Its cannons could split planets. Its shields could turn aside armies. The Varen believed no ship in existence could face it. The Eternal Fong was sent to hunt a lone human vessel drifting near the outer rim. It was an old ship, scarred by age, silent as if asleep. The Varen laughed, calling it weak, calling it broken. They thought victory would be easy. The duel began. The Eternal Fong opened fire, unleashing storms of plasma and light. Each blast could tear continents apart. But the human ship did not move. Its shields absorbed everything, as if the weapons were raindrops striking stone. The Varen roared and launched more. Missiles, drones, weapons forbidden by council law. The void lit with fire, stars trembling at the fury unleashed. But still, the human ship drifted calm, silent, unbroken. Then came the moment the galaxy would never forget. The human ship fired once. Only once. A single beam of light, silent and pure, cut through the void. The eternal Fong, pride of the Varen, shattered like glass. Its pieces burned, its weapons silenced, its emperor's pride turned to ash. Silence followed. The Varen fleet scattered, their courage broken. The human ship remained, steady, unchanged. It did not chase, it did not boast. It simply turned and vanished back into the stars. The news spread within hours. Worlds trembled, empires fell silent. If even the greatest weapon of the age could not scratch a single human vessel, then what hope remained? On the council world, arguments turned to panic. "Do you see now?" the core shouted. "They are gods of war. They will enslave us all." "No," the Solari countered. "They choose not to kill. They could have destroyed the Varen Empire, but they didn't. They showed mercy." But fear drowned reason. Every leader saw only what they wanted to see. Kale, hiding in the shadows of the chamber, heard it all. He remembered the ruin, the word carved in stone. He remembered the ship that rose from sand. And now he understood. The humans were not showing weakness. They were showing choice. They had the power to end everything, yet they did not. They had the chance to rule by fire, yet they waited. But why, Kale wondered. Why had the first ones returned now? And what did they truly want? In the void, the human fleet gathered again. Vessels of unimaginable size filled the darkness. Their lights flickered like ancient stars reborn. Inside their silent halls, machines whispered, their voices merging into one command. The trial is complete. The galaxy has forgotten. It is time to remember. The galaxy was no longer the same. The Varen defeat had spread across every world like wildfire. If the greatest empire could fall in a single breath, what chance did anyone else have? The name of the humans was now spoken in fear, in worship, in anger, in silence. On some worlds, crowds built statues to honor the first ones. On others, rebels burned their own cities, swearing they would never kneel. The council itself fractured, each race pulling in a different direction. Some wanted alliance, some wanted surrender, others whispered of secret weapons. But deep inside, every leader knew the truth. No weapon, no army, no empire could stand against humanity. Kale, the wanderer, had become a symbol. Though hunted, he was remembered as the one who spoke the name first. The one who touched the ruins, the one who woke the sleeping giants. People searched for him, calling him the messenger. Some wanted his wisdom, others wanted his blood. But Kale himself only wondered one thing. What did the humans want? The answer came when the skies themselves opened. The human fleet, countless and vast, revealed its full strength. Ships stretched across the horizon, their shadows darkening entire worlds. Engines burned like suns, their hulls carrying scars of forgotten wars. They did not hide anymore. They came openly, boldly, unchallenged. On the council world, I turned upward. The air trembled as the largest vessel descended. It was so massive it blotted out the stars. The ground shook as its shadow swallowed the capital. And then the voice came, not through machines, not through radios. It came inside every mind, every heart, the voice of humanity. "We were the first," it said. "We shaped the stars before you learned to crawl. We built maps you still follow. We forged laws you still use. And now we have returned." The chamber filled with silence. Leaders trembled, soldiers froze, citizens fell to their knees. The galaxy waited for the demand, for conquest, for chains, for war. But the words that followed were not what anyone expected. This galaxy is broken. Empires rise and fall with greed. Worlds burn while councils argue. Balance is gone, and we have returned not to rule, but to remind. The stars belong to all, and they must never be forgotten. Whispers spread like wind. Some felt hope, Others felt terror. Could it be true? Were the humans here as teachers again, as guardians? Or was this only the beginning of a new kind of rule? Kale stood among the crowd, his heart pounding. He knew the myths, he knew the fear. But as the voice filled him, he felt something deeper. A weight, a memory, as though humanity had always been watching, always waiting. The human fleet spread out, stationing ships above hundreds of worlds. They did not fire, they did not conquer, but their presence was enough. Every race knew, from that day forward, the galaxy would never move without the eyes of the first ones upon it. And so the legend became truth. The first civilization had returned, not as myths, not as whispers, not as ruins, but as power, as memory, as destiny. In the endless dark, their ships moved like ancient gods reborn. And everywhere, the same words echoed, words that would haunt the galaxy forever. We were the first, and the galaxy will never forget us again.